how might we describe to our audience how one focalizes a dynamic link?
How one focalizes a dynamic link. One, by having an intention to. I always try to go back to an example. So let's talk about you and I, since we wrote the book from that perspective. You and I met. I had an opportunity over time to observe you, to converse with you on areas of similar interest. I mean, we had a number of them, particularly relating to consciousness and sustainability and so forth. So there became a time where I felt to myself that I would like to, if Barry's willing, I would like to engage him even more in the work that I'm doing, and see if we can, co-create together. Especially, when you began to do some of it on your own and just share it with me. I said, oh, this is a good resource. So that's when I invited you to share a couple of intentions with me. And out of those intentions and the same conditions that are in both the Focalizing books, we created a link. Now, of course, we're part of a greater link. We're part of the whole Institute, Focalizing Institute link, which grew out of the nonprofit before that supported my research over the years.
Yes.
But the name needed to be changed to reflect the current learnings of the Institute. So all of us at the Institute have gained from this experience, or we wouldn't be involved.
Yeah.
I mean, we're involved in that dynamic link with the Institute because we feed it, it feeds us, and in that feeding, we also feel like we're serving or being part of something bigger. So it's a win-win-win situation. I win, the Institute wins, and the collective wins.
One of the elements that's important to being in a dynamic link and in focalizing, and that is the engagement of the curious observer and the role that plays.
Again, a little history story. The curious observer is my way of saying things like Ken Wilber calls it the witness. Other people writing in consciousness circles have different names. I like curious observer because I like the word curious. To me, it helps takes judgment off of any observation. So the curious observer is that part of us that can even watch us think. Like when I think of it, I think of when I'm taking a shower in the morning. Often a bunch of thoughts will be going through my head. And the part of me that's watching all those thoughts and kind of informing me that I have a whole bunch of thoughts going through my head, that is the curious observer. And I started noticing it and studying it closely when I was doing my research and the book Journey Toward Complete Recovery years ago, and wrote about it for the first time in Journey. Because of my initial experience of it, and still is a little differently, is that the curious observer is flat, has no emotional content. It just notices. And in that respect, it's interesting in a way. And I have no idea where it is or who it is. For some reason I always go like this when I say it. But the truth is I don't know where it exists. But I do know it is a way of reflecting my experience to me, if I pay attention to it. I also know that when I'm there, I am in a place of peace most of the time. That even if it's observing an uncomfortable experience, because I have the distance of watching it from the observer, it's not quite the same.
Where are we and how did we get here?
We are at a place where, for the most part, we have disconnected ourselves from our home, which is planet Earth. And as trite as that might sound, it's very real when we begin to think about things like our happiness and the flow of energy and the next generation that's going to come after us, and how we want to age and finish our lives. All these other things, to me, make it all a little more tangible. But we passed through a time in evolution when we moved from embodiment and connection to nature to thinking that we were our minds, to thinking that what we're thinking is who we are. And that's one of the great things that focalizing and similar methods help us do, is to, one, first make that recognition, and then two, be able to disengage when we want to, because the conditioned mind is full of only what we've experienced or heard up until this moment. Much of it garbage, or hurtful. And if that's just spinning around, I mean, that can be like poison to our system, that there's no reason to have it at all. If we reconnect with nature in the moment, in our embodiment and our feeling, that can be just over here. It is part of our history. It's real. We can honor it as such, but we don't have to be run by it in any way. To me, to have a life and to think we're going to run it from our thinking mind is disaster.
Is this separation or this identification of our thinking as ourself, how is that related to what I would call the separation of the utilization of both masculine and feminine energies in a moment? That thinking feels like a reliance more on a masculine energy than a nurturing feminine energy.
What I would say about that is, of course, I hate making those kinds of generalizations, as we all do, because we know they're not totally true. But if we think in terms of focalizing, and think particularly in terms of that one element of focalizing, of the engaging opposite energies,
Yes.
then we're bringing the masculine and the feminine together, creating yet something else. And it's that something else that carries us forward.